Welcome to this presentation on teacher cognition research and assessment and inclusion to improve teachers' instructions. We are Mireia, Canals, Botines, and Ángel, Alonso, and we'll be presenting you the result of our research. As an introduction, we would like to say that teacher cognition research is a very significant field to understand the perceptions that teachers have and how these perceptions, how these beliefs have an impact, a very clear impact on those professional teaching and learning techniques. Our study was based on a group of 25 master students who are currently taking a module on assessment and inclusion. And their perceptions will be assessed through a 15-item Likert scale questionnaire. As for the main goals of our study and of this presentation, we have selected 5. The first one would be to explore and to understand the beliefs that pre-service secondary school teachers have regarding feedback, regarding formative and summative assessment, regarding self-assessment, and also regarding the role of evaluation to shape that classroom practice. A second objective, a second goal will be to examine their beliefs about the value and purpose of feedback in the learning process. A third one will be to investigate their beliefs about formative and summative assessment. Then we would aim at shedding some light on pre-service teachers' beliefs as for self-assessment and its role in promoting student metacognition and their own ownership of learning. And finally, our goal would be to present student teachers' views on how evaluation may impact their own instructional decision making. Broadly speaking, in terms of literature review, there are definitely many definitions of teachers' beliefs in the literature. Bohr, McNeil, Gosper, Lefstrom, Puman-Valitsky's, and basically they all refer to the importance of teacher beliefs because teacher beliefs shapes classroom practice, okay? Actually, research in classroom assessment has gained momentum in recent decades. Assessment has been considered to be a part of teaching, and this is what Stiggins, Birnbaum, and Ashraf affirm in their research studies. Also, there is abundant literature on the relationship between teachers' beliefs and practices in many areas of classroom practice, in pronunciation, in terms of corrective feedback, and also on curriculum design. In fact, Wong's study highlighted the existing congruence and incongruences between assessment practicing and reported beliefs among in-service teachers. Moving on to the methodology tools, so the instruments or research instruments, we have to say that this study has used Google Forms as a way to collect those primary data. And as stated before, our survey aimed to provide valuable insights into teacher trainees' assessment practices and beliefs from a threefold perspective. First, the role of formative and summative assessment was explored in terms of how it is perceived and how effectively it is used in the EFL classroom. Also, some considerations in terms of diversity and inclusions were included, and moving and just narrowing it down to the participant sample. As stated before, there was a group of 25 master students who were informed of the purpose and objectives of the survey, and they all agreed to participate in it. Narrowing it down again to the instrument we have used that Likert scale questionnaire that has been adopted from Inalana and Caragul to avoid collecting validity evidence. The questionnaire is a pretty recent one. It was actually used 5 years ago. And this original questionnaire consisted of 3 main domains, which are formative and summative assessment, self-assessment, and the role of assessment to improve teachers' instruction. We did not include questions about the personal and professional background for to keep their anonymity, and also because we understood that were not relevant to the purpose of our study. And our questionnaire was divided again into 3 different sections. The first part was composed of 2 multiple choice questions that related to feedback students received and the provision of opportunities students had to show what they have learned. The second part, the second section, accounted for 6 items that referred to the teachers' enhancement to their evaluation practices and to their provision of good assessment practices and information to parents and school administrations. And eventually, the last 2 questions referred to assessment needs and the role to raise quality of classroom instruction and assessment. Talking about results, the analysis of the results will basically focused on detailing the students' answers to the survey statements and finding correlations or trends that may provide some information that may shed some light about their beliefs as with regards to assessment, feedback, and its relationship to classroom practice. The first question from the survey showed that an overwhelming majority of participants believed in the importance of feedback in assessment. Around 90% of participants expressed their conviction that feedback was key, had a very important role in helping students in their learning process. Similarly, the role of formative assessment was highlighted by trainees in their answers in terms of providing students opportunities to demonstrate their competences in class while performing the task. And most participants actually consider it to be vital. Also, participants remark the need for assessment activities that are intertwined with teaching practice and that go beyond paper and pencil tests. Actually, 75% of respondents agreed to that, even if some of them did not have an opinion on the matter. Regarding summative assessment, the perceptions were not so clear. Half of them actually agreed or strongly agreed that the learner's performance should be assessed at the end of each teaching unit, but a percentage quite high of 37% did not know, were not able to answer the questions, and actually 2 respondents expressed their disagreement. Similarly, students voiced some concerns with regards to end-of-the-year evaluation. They were either unsure or unwilling to endorse the role of final tests. More particularly, question 6 explored the needs for parents and school administrators to have direct access to assessment information. More than half of our students agreed or strongly agreed to the statement, but the other half did not have a clear opinion on that. The last 2 sections were devoted to self-assessment and the perspective that future teachers have on it. Participants seem to have a great awareness of its role and highlighted the fact that educators should play a very active part in its implementation. Finally, the last question from this survey looked into the impact of assessment on teaching practices. Overall, most pre-service teachers agreed or strongly agreed to its importance to tweak aspects of classroom instruction. In terms of conclusions, we should say that this research paper has focused on the beliefs that pre-service secondary school teachers have on feedback, formative, summative assessment, self-assessment, and the role of evaluation to shape classroom practice. As for perceptions on formative and summative assessment, participants emphasized the relevance of ongoing evaluation, which is closely related to classroom practice. Contrarily, they seemed to be more cautious about testing both after a teaching unit or at the end of the school year. On a different note, results reveal that trainees do not have a firm opinion about the role of summative assessment as a source of information for parents or school administrators. With regards to assessment, to self-assessment, all participants clearly supported the need for its implementation in classroom instruction. And also, the use of assessment to improve the quality of instruction was perceived as very important. Master students appear to understand evaluation as a procedure to find out not only about learning outcomes, strengths, or weaknesses, but also to explore new ways of improving the quality of classroom practices in order to achieve instructional goals. As for limitation, this study has just focused on self-reported beliefs, and these beliefs, these conceptions or perceptions may not match actual practices. Finally, you have a list of references that having used all through this paper. And we would like to thank you very much for your attention. And should you have any question regarding our paper, do not hesitate to contact us. Thank you.